on. Okay, so what we have, let's start on the daily for NASDAQ. This morning, ICT tweeted out he is still interested in the 15,126.5 mark for NASDAQ. And it was really nice to come on my chart and see I do have that level charted out. It is the daily fair value gap low. This low. So yesterday had this candle body close above the consequent encroachment. We wicked down pretty low, closed back above the consequent encroachment. So today we will be looking in to target the low range of this gap again. If you notice, the only inefficiency we have to the upside is this daily fair value gap. The weekly candle as a whole is pretty bearish, so we should be looking for downward price action. So this is the 1 day. Let's go to the 4 hour. 4 hour gets a little more interesting. We have this 4 hour fair value gap that we wicked through and then couldn't get a body close. That's really nice to see. We have this 4 hour bearish order block, which we didn't really tap it here. We came up really close. It was about 2 ticks away. Came down lower. Let's go to the 1 hour. 1 hour, you can see the bodies of these candles respecting the consequent encroachment of that 4 hour fair value gap. I love to see that. Seeing the lower time frames respect the higher time frame PD arrays in a different way. So on the 4 hour we had just wicks, but then on the 1 hour we have respective consequent encroachment. Really like to see that. On the hourly we have this fair value gap, this SIBI. We wicked up into it, closed below consequent encroachment. As you can see right now, we are playing around at the consequent encroachment level, getting a close. If this candle that's printing right now on the hourly closes below this hourly consequent encroachment, that would be really bearish. On the 15-minute, we have this SIBI, which is somewhat part of this hourly fair value gap. I wouldn't mind seeing it trade up into this, even back and touching this 4 hour fair value gap. I wouldn't like that as much, but I'd permit it to trade back up into this. But I think at the open we'll be immediately looking for lower prices. If we go to the dollar, the daily dollar chart, oh, that's the Dow Jones. The daily dollar chart, as you can see, we've been very bullish. We came up, not really re-entering into any of these daily fair value gaps. We've been spending some time in this SIBI that was created a while ago, but we took this buy side and we've closed above it multiple times. We're able to close above the consequent encroachment of this daily premium fair value gap, and price, we wicked down, and now we're creating a pretty large tail. Price is looking on the dollar like it wouldn't mind going higher, which coincides with our bearish bias on the indices. E-mini. We had that one tick into the daily fair value gap, dropped. Clean this up. So we have this daily fair value gap right here. I was having trouble this morning really correlating that fair value gap below on NASDAQ and what that target would be for ES. I'm guessing it would be this fair value gap just because yesterday we didn't reach that target for NASDAQ, and we just were shy yesterday of reaching this target for S&P, so I'm guessing this is kind of like that 15,126 level, the equivalent for the S&P. We have this SIBI right here. There's a lot less narrative, I feel like, for S&P right now, which is why I'm probably going to trade the NASDAQ. We came up, so this is yesterday's opening range. I've kept it on here, and you'll see on the lower time frames why. But overnight we came up, wicked into this order block. We could not get a close. We respected mean threshold. Now we're coming back down. It's looking like this is the target. If we do take out this low, go in here, after getting through this daily fair value gap, the next target would be this new week opening gap. Going down to the 1 hour. So we're spending some time in this hourly fair value gap for the 1 hour. I would really like to see the candle bodies respect this. This is very similar to the hourly that's also happening on the NASDAQ right here. So as you can see, right at 4 on both indices, a nice SIBI was created. Let's go down to the 15-minute. And then regular trading hours. So on the regular trading hours, this is, you can see, we never completely filled in this gap up. I don't think we have to. I just want to keep it on my chart in case we do start to see some higher prices. It will remind me, okay, like this is what's going on. I don't think we will need to fill it in, but these are things that, you know, I leave in my chart because if price starts to do something that you didn't expect, you have something that can help you with the narrative here. Okay, we're gonna go to the 3 pane view. Like I said, we're gonna look more at NASDAQ today, just because NASDAQ seems to be respecting more of its bearish PD arrays. I'm gonna get rid of yesterday's levels. If you are new watching, this yellow line here is the dollar. I like to chart it behind the 1 minute just so I can see where the dollar's at with higher highs and higher lows. We have the indices opening in 1 minute. Remove some of yesterday's trades. Do a quick toggle. So right when we open at 9:30 on the 5 minute, I will toggle between electronic trading hours and the regular just to see what we're working with for gaps. gaps are looking good. We like to see on the 5 minute, you can see us respecting this hourly fair value gap on the 5 minute prior to the opening. So let's see how we close now that we're going a little higher. Again, it's the end of the week. I took 2 trades this week, so I'm 2 for 2. I'd like to keep it like that. So today we'll only really be entering any paper trades if we have a really, really good setup. Okay, so we are seeing price head up into this 4-hour fair value gap. Just be a little patient here. Today's gonna be an interesting day because I've been having more bullish narrative, which has been going against a lot of what ICT has been giving people for his narrative over Twitter. Today he said he was still interested in this 15,126 daily fair value gap low. Yesterday I was a little more bullish than the market laid out, even though we did find a trade to the downside. I was really looking for the market to come down into this daily fair value gap denoted by these dashed lines for higher prices. So I thought we were gonna come down into it Wednesday and then see higher prices going into the second half of the week. We didn't get that, but I'm just noticing how we came a little down over like a little over 75% of the range, came back up, toyed with consequent encroachment at 50%, and now we're going higher. So if we start getting closes above this hourly swing high and that coincide outside of this, like leaving this daily fair value gap, it feels weird going against his narrative of 1526, which is why I'm going to be very cautious for this opening. But I'm gonna focus on how we handle this 4-hour fair value gap. So we got a close on the 1 minute, as you can see, slightly above it. Something I've found specifically helpful with the AM session Silver Bullet is you have the whole opening range to kind of watch price. So I do have one model that I do trade between 9:30 and 10, but I really only execute on that model when I lay out a plan prior to the market open and it kind of delivers to a T. So this wasn't the case. If this market was to open higher and then break lower, we had a really aggressive open. But if we were to just kind of wick above these highs and then break lower, that would have initiated my opening range model. But since that didn't happen to a T, we're just gonna wait for the AM session Silver Bullet. And right now, the market is going to the upside very strongly. So as long as we don't see any aggressive drops, the Silver Bullet will probably be to the upside. If you look on the daily, yeah, so even on the daily, we couldn't get a close below consequent encroachment yesterday. We opened above it. We're sending it higher. It's this 15,126 level is right now, for the first few minutes, is not looking too likely. I would like to see shorts. Shorts would be fun, but I'm not seeing any indication of that in price. You can see on the 1 minute, we have a candle body close respecting that 4-hour order block. Okay, closing above it. As you can see right here on this 1 minute candle, we had a close, just a tick or two right above this 4-hour fair value gap, and then you had this black candle come down. So as soon as it closes above that, that's when I start to consider, do we want to treat this as an inversion fair value gap? So we come up, closed above it, came back down into this BISI, and then immediately opened and sent it higher. So we're starting to treat these PD arrays as inversion levels, which is not faring likely for bearish price. Let's check out the dollar on the 5 minute. So the dollar is dropping pretty aggressively on the 5 minute at the open, which makes sense as to why the indices are going so high. I would not take any shorts as long as the dollar is keeping this structure. So we got the high, low, higher, lower high, lower low. So I like to use the dollar to kind of map out and confirm what price action is doing here. So if we walked in today with a bearish narrative, sometimes this was so aggressive that it's hard to keep that bearish narrative, but sometimes if the market pumps and it's kind of going against what you'd expect, it can be hard, if it isn't this egregious, to believe that you were wrong on your narrative, or to just keep holding, say like you're like, okay, we're gonna keep looking for shorts, like it's gonna turn around. But I like to use the dollar to kind of bring me back to reality and be like, no, like we're making lower lows on the dollar, market's making higher highs, like everything's aligned. These drop that narrative quickly. Okay, so on the 5 minute, we had a close above this 4-hour fair value gap. But we did close our candle bodies are respecting this 4-hour bearish order block. Came up to the high. Just wait for more candles, more information. Doing a little bit of a mic check right now. Doing a little bit of a mic check right now. so we are just waiting for 10 a.m. Silver Bullet session starts at 10 a.m. and right now on the higher time frames we're going to need a little more information. You can see on the hourly we're respecting this 4-hour order block. I'd be curious to see, we'll see how this candle closes. If this candle was, I want to see if this candle closes within this 4-hour fair value gap. So we're currently above the London session highs, London lows. Came up just a tick shy at the top of that fair value gap, and now we're coming down lower. On the 1 hour, we're wicking back down. See how it wants to go and react. Check the S&P real quick. So earlier I said I kept yesterday's opening range on the charts because I said earlier if we were to run up it might seem random, but if we go to the regular trading hours, so yesterday, let me take these lines off. Yesterday we never completely closed in that gap. And as you can see, we had an aggressive run up, and it looked like we really just wanted to close in the top of that gap. I would not keep this range on going into next week, but coming into today, we didn't open today with any gap, so I kept yesterday's on, especially since it wasn't filled completely. If you notice on S&P, we also haven't taken the London session high yet. Switch back over to NASDAQ. So on this yellow line, we can see the dollar's making a lower low. Interesting. So usually when markets open and we have aggressive runs up and then consolidation, if you'll either look for two things, usually a rounded top with like a curl down, and then it usually when it like rounds, it'll drop aggressively. But if we had the chance to consolidate and come down, if we were to start the only other way it would come down would be to wick above these highs and then come down. So if we start getting candle body closes above these highs, once our time window for silver bullets starts, we're gonna definitely be looking for upside, especially with a dropping dollar. But with the higher time frame respecting, especially for the NASDAQ, the higher time frame respecting the levels of this daily fair value gap in a bullish sense, it's still indecisive. Measuring out the mean threshold of this order block. Take a quick look at the Dow. So in this corner is where I like to just compare the highs and lows of the three indices. Sometimes it can get a little crowded, but we don't need the dollar on there. So we have higher highs. It seems the NASDAQ was able to take out its London session high. I have to go up to ES. NASDAQ was able to take out its London session high, but ES wasn't. So you can see this green line is the London session high for ES, which is the same as these three highs. So NASDAQ took it out. The Dow usually is weaker. The Dow, I just like to see for like more immediate correlations. So like this high, low, higher, high, high, low, higher, high. I wouldn't get too worried about, I don't go too left of the chart on the Dow. It seems like this whole year the Dow has been really like out of whack. So we have ES getting some wicks below these swing lows. Let's see what the NASDAQ did. Okay, so we had just a few closes right over the high of this daily fair value gap, but on the 5 minute you can see the candle bodies are respecting it very nicely. On the 1 hour we wicked into just about mean threshold of the order block. I have these two candles for this order block. You can see that on the 4 hour chart a little more clearly. This candle right here isn't part of that 4 hour order block. So we have the wick right into mean threshold of that order block. Couldn't close anywhere into it. We're tracing back into this 4 hour. I am liking what we're seeing. So we didn't take that high, that London session high on ES. NASDAQ ran up pretty aggressively, but ES seems to be the weaker one. I'm gonna start watching ES here, especially if we're looking for downside plays. We have a little under 3 minutes until the silver bullet window starts. This was a really good turnaround right here for bearish bias, my apologies. It's always hard when you have very aggressive opens, because on the 5 minute now, this is a very large BISI. So as you can see, we came down, looks like we had our wick come down right to consequent encroachment. Just about to the tick, which is also lined up with this 1 minute. So we can see the dollar is still making lower lows. I'd be really hesitant to go short at that time. Okay, so dollar's making lower lows. You can see we retrace to consequent encroachment of this BISI, and now we're having trouble closing inside of it on the 5 minute. Okay, so our daily candle has turned is white, and as you can see, our bodies still respected the consequent encroachment of this long wick. It's pretty hard to see because there's a lot over it. Okay, let's watch. I like upside, especially if we close above this high, this swing high. The dollar is looking pretty heavy. This aggressive run in the morning makes it, especially going in, before this open happened and we were kind of targeting lower prices, seeing this definitely mixes up the bias. The dollar is dropping pretty aggressively. Let's look at the NASDAQ 1 minute. So we have a little bit of an SMT divergence right here. You can see the NASDAQ made a higher high. We couldn't make that higher swing high on S&P. So now we can't look for the fair value, silver bullet fair value gap yet. I'm still a little indecisive on direction right now. I'm leaning more bullish after seeing all the post 9:30 price action, especially with the drop in dollar. It was funny, so if you notice, we just made that higher high on the S&P. We didn't make it on the NASDAQ. Let's look at the NASDAQ 5 minute. The dollar is looking very heavy right here. The dollar taking out an early low. Fair value gaps we have. I'm liking the upside. If you notice, this also coincides with the top of this down close candle, which happened right before. It's looking like a change in the state delivery. I would go, let's see. Okay, so now I usually start usually when you have like a large run of these up close candles, I'll kind of just cycle through different things below the 5 minute. So that gap also coincides with the top of 3 minute fair value gap. Okay. So we have the ES as our leader to the upside right now. Gonna stay patient. So when I see runs like this and I'm looking for an entry, when it's this long and exaggerated, I like to enter on swing lows, because you know we're going to retrace. If we're not going to retrace and it's just going to go run all the way to the top without us, that's fine. We don't want to be in that. So I like to wait for swing highs to form when we have this much of an exaggerated run and we're looking for an entry. And what that means is it's gonna retrace. And when we're looking for retracement, if you want really, really ideal, like definitely more on the conservative end, I always draw a fib, and if there's a fair value gap, say hypothetically below the 50% mark, I would choose that one. If not, if this is our swing high, then whatever is the closest to that 50%. I really like how this fair value gap lines up with the top of this 5-minute down close candle. We have a pretty large 5-minute BISI right here on the 5-minute. It might not close it all the way in. Dollar's still looking heavy. I'd be a buyer there. I'm gonna take this off for now. We still have the dollar dropping. Okay, so that entered us in. Let's see. For stops on this one, I'd go just right there. So I chose that because it's right under this doji looking candle, which is the beginning candle of this fair value gap. It's a little tighter than I would want, but we're already up. It's a Friday. We're up on the week. It's a Friday. The price action in this morning, like I don't like on the 15-minute how big this wick is. So this is one of those, we're okay with being wrong. I like how we respected the bodies. Take that off. Take that off. So what I want to see now is I want to see us get above this candle high. So what I don't want to see is what just happened, is us go up to the low of this candle and then react. I want to see us get past this high. Okay, awesome. Again, so for the silver bullet, we always look for our first low hanging fruit target is 5 handles. See how you respect this SIBI fair value gap. Now, I'm getting the confidence in this trade because of this aggressively dropping dollar. We're still making a lower low. I like that. I want to see this body close above the low of this down close candle. That'll show it violating this fair value gap. Okay, like that. So it closed above it, came down, touched the top of it. I want to see us get a little higher. On the NASDAQ, you can see the same thing happened on the same minute too. So this candle right here, it's a little hard to see the wicks, but this candle right here had a fair value gap, which it dropped back down into. The body's respected that fair value gap, and then we came a little higher. I want to see how we treat this. Do we treat this like an inversion fair value gap? Okay, so if you notice, this candle's body closed right on consequent encroachment. I would have loved to see it not close inside of this at all. So we'll see how the next one prints. We want to see this candle print and close. Either two things are going to happen. This candle is going to print and close above this high, or it's going to go print and close below this high, and that is going to indicate whether this is a swing high or not. So got that. Technically, this right here is a swing high. It's not ideal. We still, so even the body of this candle right here didn't close below consequent encroachment. Now we have the next one opening up at the top of this fair value gap, going above this swing high. So I'm liking the odds of our low-hanging fruit 5 handles being hit right here. I mean, all week, the runs have been pretty high resistant, so I'm kind of not surprised that this one seems a little higher resistance. It wasn't too bad. There we go. there's our 5-handle silver bullet AM session. Same exact BISI delivered on NASDAQ, as you can see right below here, which is also the entry. If the dollar keeps dropping today, I could see this new week opening gap being the final target. But so we're 3 for 3 this week. We went a little heavier in the beginning of the week, and then, you know, it's a Friday. The opening was not what I expected. We were going against ICT's bias. He was expecting lower prices, so that's why you saw me enter in with one contract. It was really just to get the rep in. That's all it was. So now what I do is, normally if I were to enter in with more than one lot, I would be watching this fair value gap. I would think if we are printing bullish structure, I do not want to see this fair value gap violated, especially with the aggressive open. I could see us dropping pretty quickly. But it's good that we're respecting this as an inversion fair value gap. As you can see right here, the entry was at the top of this silver bullet fair value gap. We got our 5 handles. I ended up trading the ES because we had this higher high right here, so we had this small SMT, which meant the ES was the stronger of the two. If you can see, that didn't happen on NASDAQ. So consolidating a little, the dollar, you can see the dollar right here. It's bouncing. It dropped pretty aggressively. You can see here on the 5-minute. So a little bit of a retrace in the dollar is warranted. I could see it, you know, retracing up into this fair value gap. What might happen is price just on the indices just kind of goes sideways until it decides to roll over and come back down. But this is a great example too of why I always take the first 5 handles you can get. It helps with the psychology. Say we didn't take the first 5 handles and we had some, there's not really much inefficiency to the left on the higher time frames. I mean, reaching all the way up to this new week opening gap would be an aggressive goal. So taking the first 5 handles of any trade you're in is just helps with your psyche so much. It's you locked in profits, you got a winning trade, you can't get upset. It's also the reason why I kind of advocate for using at least 2 lots, just so you always have that ability. Because I mean, I personally am not going to struggle with this. I took this trade today just to get a rep in, because I'm already up on the week. But sometimes, and I felt this a lot earlier on in my trading, but I was trading just one lot, and I would take my 5 handles, and then I'd be out of a trade, but then I'd watch hypothetically this run to this new week opening gap, and then you feel a lot of FOMO, you feel a lot of greed, and you're like, oh, if I just held on, blah blah blah, and taking more than one lot. I don't agree with like out here like swinging 5 lots. Like, do not over leverage, but 2 lots on, depending on your account size. So again, like, we're demo trading this, guys, but if you see what I have the demo at, we started at 150, and we started that at the beginning of the week. So 2 lots on a $150,000 account trading the E-mini, that's not over leveraging. And what it does is allow you to take that 1 lot at 5 handles, lock in your profits, feel satisfied, and then I would take that second lot and okay, I'm going to use the second lot, and I'm going to trail my stop and see just how much do we want to juice out of this thing. Because if the dollar does turn around and start getting heavier again, I see us going to this new week opening gap. And what I would do is I would just kind of trail my stop along, and I would like put it right below things where it's like, okay, if we break this swing low, then like we're not in bullish structure anymore. So honestly, if I had more lots on this trade, I would still probably have my stop at break even. So I would have it right at the top of this fair value gap. I'd have it at break even because, you know, if I'm wrong, I still locked in my 5 handle profits, but I'm not going to trail it too aggressively. Like, if today wanted to be a high resistance day, I could see us dropping down like almost like all the way back to this original fair value gap, and then wicking really high up and like not even getting a body close, like closing in the middle of this and then sending it higher. That's just a hypothetical situation. But yeah, so going back to the account, we were 3 for 3 this week. A lot of just showing low hanging fruit objectives. End of the week, these were 3 trades, all done on, 3 trades. I took a trade on Tuesday, but what ended up happening was I forgot to reset the account balance. So that was something I wanted to do at the start of this YouTube channel. I wanted to reset the account balance at the beginning. I planned on, you know, showing on the channel every day the account history, just so anybody could call out any discrepancies, just kind of have a video log of this account. But I forgot to reset it prior to when I took a trade on Tuesday. So that Tuesday trade isn't showing up here, but I'm still happy to show that there were 3 other trades that happened, 2 yesterday. We got the 1 today, and even with these 3 trades, we're up 935 at the end of the week. I didn't trade Monday. I didn't trade Wednesday. So traded 3 days this week and up almost 1K. I like that. I think something that helped me a lot was trying to think, what would it look like when I become a successful day trader? When this replaces your income, what does that actually look like? Because in the beginning of trading, I used to think, oh, like, I need to trade every single day. Like, I need to be in a trade every single day, or else like I'm not successful. Or if like you'd even have the feelings like in the beginning, oh, like I didn't take a trade today, like I didn't do it, like, and then you have that imposter syndrome. It's like, I can't do this. But then as you mature as a trader, it becomes the complete inverse. This was at least my personal experience. In the beginning, I felt like if I didn't take a trade that day, then like I wasn't successful. But now it's, if I go a whole day and it's like I didn't see my model, I didn't take a trade, that's great. Like I see the growth in that. And it did take just a lot of emotional tribulations, you know, just losing, and you know, the struggles that every day trader goes through to figure out like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be. And then when you do get more successful in trading, like say your goal is you want to make $10,000 a month. If you're making $10,000 a month, you're probably going to want, and we do this because we want easier lifestyles. We don't want to be behind a desk all day. We do this because we don't want to be working a 9 to 5. So if you're making $10,000 a month day trading, you're going to want to enjoy that. You're going to want to take a 4-day weekend. You're not going to be trading every single day. When you make it to that level and you're successfully raking in thousands of dollars a month, you're going to be getting those thousands of dollars off of trading 2 to 3 times a week. And what's going to happen is you're just going to be finding more consistency. So one of the main points of this channel is consistency and high probability setups. So I only traded 3 days this week. I went 3 for 3. So imagine if I tried to force a trade on those other 2 days, I'd be at either break even probably or in the negative, which is what I used to be for a very long time. I used to be a break-even trader for the longest time, and it was just because I felt the need to trade every single day. And I guess I just kind of got knocked down enough times where I was like, I'm sick of losing. And the loss, sometimes you just get beat down so much that it's when you feel like you can't get back up, and then you do get back up, but then when you get back up, you say, okay, well, I'm just not going to do that thing that got me knocked down again because I don't even know if I'll be able to get up next time. But it's that little inflection point where it's I'm not going to do that thing again because it hurt so much when I got knocked down, that's where the growth, at least for me personally, that's where the growth happened. It was okay, I'm not going to just trade because I think it's going this way. I'm going to wait until my model pans out exactly and there's all the boxes are checked. I don't know if that little soapbox ramble, how coherent it was, but thank you for listening. Oh, Simply JP, you took the same trade. Yeah, Remora. The mic situation is definitely, I know that's the weakness of this live stream right now. If I up it more, you hear my computer fan, which is pretty loud. And I was trying to find a balance where it wasn't too much computer fan. I was hoping I would just speak loud enough. The mic's not bad. It's an $80 mic. I just haven't put too much time into, I guess, calibrating it for the live stream. Hey, thank you, Simply JP. No, it's something I definitely want to fix, but I didn't want to wait to start this channel until everything was perfect because then I'd probably never end up starting it. So it'll get better. It'll get better as we grow. But you took the same trade on your funded account. That's awesome. How are you doing with that funded account? And just FYI, we will not be taking another trade. Well, I will not be taking another trade. We will be watching and tape reading to see how high we want to get. Do we want to go up to this new week opening gap? But no trades will be placed. As you can see, the dollar is starting to curve right here. So we're setting a swing high on the dollar. And I've noticed that, the dollar can kind of retrace and you don't have that exact correlation. It's not a linear correlation with the indices. So the dollar can retrace up, and then what happens is you just see kind of sideways action for the indice, and then as soon as the dollar starts to curl, and head its way back down, that's when the indice will then start to get some juice. It kind of juices NASDAQ and ES when that happens. Whoa, really sorry to hear that, Simply JP. That's rough. I heard about that whole my funded trader, my Forex funds. It was interesting because the one thing, there's so many prop firms in this space, and it's like, how do you even know? I just feel like you never want to do too much digging, because these things are all kind of like sketchy, and there's so many of them. It's very oversaturated, but you're not gonna not do it. Like, I understand, like, I'm all here for prop funds, prop firms, because they definitely help with that barrier of entry, but it's just hard because they all kind of seem sketchy. Okay, so you took a 1.5% win, and your rule says 2 or 3. Yeah, you got another count. And then, something I tell myself too is like, because I struggled a lot in trading with, like, we all do this for money, but it's like struggling with, okay, let me say it this way. When I shifted my mindset towards, I want this skill, I want this ability, that is when I started seeing a lot more growth and patience, because I was very impatient as a novice trader. And you pass these account challenges, so like you have proof that you have this skill. So like, they can take away your account, but they can't take away all the time you put in these charts and your knowledge of reading price action. Dubai, okay. I don't know too much about the regulations, like law-wise. I know my funded Forex, they got dinged by the Canadians, right? I think the way I was looking at the funded accounts was FTMO. It was definitely, I think it seemed like the first in the space. I know they've been around for a while. They seemed kind of like the OG of the prop firm space. So if I was to go with anyone, it was either going to be FTMO. I like Top Step because it's based in the U.S. and like I feel like you would have to be a real idiot to try and be like, I'm gonna go up against like the FCC and like all these, like, any kind of U.S. regulatory body, because our regulations are a lot more strict. So if you're doing sketchy shit in the U.S., it's like, oh, I'm on the clock now. I remember I was looking at some like offshore brokerages for Forex that were like based in the Cayman Islands, and I was like taking a few trades on those, and the leverage was insane, and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna do this anymore. Yeah. Yeah, ICT. I feel like, I mean, it's kind of similar to how any kind of investing in assets. So I was in Mexico for like 2 months earlier this summer, and I was looking at the real estate down there, and I was like, damn, like, like, I was in like rural Mexico, and it's like you could get so much real estate, and it's like, the good thing about the US is things might be more expensive and there might be more regulation, but your assets are safer. So, depending on where you're at in life, that safety and assets goes a long way. Like, I have this buddy who's from Brazil. He was born here in the U.S., but he was like, dude, the Brazilian CDs right now are producing like 25%. For like this was like a few months back. He was like, the CDs right now in Brazil are like 25%. And I was like, yeah, their currency's also collapsed like twice in the past like 20 years. So it's like, that's like a crazy return on a CD, but like the risk there versus like the US, you might not get those returns in the US, but the US dollar won't collapse like within a 10-year span. Right now is probably the worst time for me to ever make that like statement, but I say all that to say that I feel like the US prop firm, just more regulation in that space is probably a little safer. But at the same time, like if you can do it quick enough, like I don't know if you were able to pull any money out of the my Forex funds, but I mean, if you were able to pull some money out and get a little over break even, like you won, Okay, so as you can see, the dollar's dropping now. So when this started to look like a swing high, it was like, if we were to come back down, I would have saw this playing. We wouldn't have done this. I would have saw us going way up. But since we had this retracement's looking a lot deeper, I'm not surprised that the indices are now taking a little lower. If I were to have more lots on, what I probably would have done, depending on how many I had on, I would have probably done first take profit, 5 handles, and since we have this like pretty large gap to what I would expect to be the next goal, I would do increments of 5 handles. So then I'd take my take profit 2 at 10 handles, and then if I had 3, maybe the third one. If I had 4, I'd go the next set 5 handles. I like to do just the 5 handle increments. But if you look on the higher time frames, we're still printing bullish structure. I mean, we just had a aggressive run up on the 15-minute. We haven't even made a swing low on the 15-minute yet. We haven't even made a swing low. I guess we're making the swing low right now on the 5-minute, but from the 5-minute up, its structure is still very bullish. And then what I also do, so like this would be more if I was still in a trade. Once I like make my entry, I would look at down. If we're going long, I'm looking at down close candles on all time frames to make sure they support bullish structure, which is something ICT says. So as you can see here on the 5-minute, this is the down close candle for the 5-minute that we'd want to see support structure. If you look at the consequent, I would probably be watching first the top of the wick. Had this one come down, I'd be watching consequent encroachment, and I'd just be watching the bodies of these candles and how they respect consequent encroachment. NASDAQ. Okay, so if we close below this fair value gap, I'll probably not be interested in price. Yeah, same JP. I might just watch the PM session, um, see if there's anything worth there. I'm done for this morning. I always trade 9:30 to 11 and 2 to 3, and I'll trade the like 3 to 4, like the closing of the PM session, if I didn't take any trades and up to like 3. But usually if I haven't taken a trade up until 3, price action's so gross where I'm like, I'm not even gonna bother with that last hour. Hey man, I really appreciate that. This is like the 3rd time I've ever made content on anything. My Instagram, like I don't even have a trading Instagram. It's nothing trading. It's just my personal one where I barely even post there. Yeah, by 2:30. Yeah. And narrowing down my time frames, I have to say, is definitely what helped me the most. Just because I don't know. That was like probably the biggest stepping stone for me. Was like, okay, I'm just only gonna trade like between these 2 hours, because prior to that, I would be staring at the market from like 9:30 all the way through, and I'd be like trying to find anything at any time, and it's like you're doing too much at once. And I feel like for the longest time I just didn't understand what it meant to have a model. But yeah, I personally started really taking off trading wise once I was just like basically silver bullet sessions only. I have to thank ICT for that. On my personal, yeah, sure. Oh, you're the best, man. I appreciate you. Yeah, my goal for this is this whole channel is just to kind of like be super consistent to the point where like people can't even argue with the track record. Like I might not have like the best stream quality or the best mic quality, although I do plan on trying to fix the mic. But like I would just want to like attract crowds, because people are like, this guy goes like 3 for 3 every week, or like just like the highest hit rate, and it's just like you can't even argue with it. Like the proof is in the pudding. And like I don't want it to be a signal service, but like I feel like I can be very consistent, and I feel like there's value in that. So what I really started doing this for was for more accountability. Like if I have one person like you watching, then like it would help me, because I also used to struggle a lot with like boredom trading. Like I'd be really bored because I don't do anything. Like if I'm in like I don't work a job, so it's like, damn, like I'm really bored. Like let me get that dopamine hit by entering a trade, and then like I just like ruin my gains. So I thought, okay, if I like live stream, even if one person, even if nobody's watching and it's just being documented, I will have to initiate more self control, and not just boredom trade. But I appreciate you, man, and I hope you find like you bounce back from this my forex funds. But my Instagram, it's just my personal Instagram. It's nothing. I just look like a normal 20, 25-year-old dude. It's literally just my name. Yeah, man. I had a big FOMO wasn't too bad for me. I guess the greed was. Um, I mean, impatience is definitely my biggest. What it is, I mean, you have to battle it every day. You know, you have to battle like all your little vices every day in trading. But impatience and greed were definitely mine. And I guess being wrong too. Like if I took a small loss, like I would hate having that, and I would try and win it back. And honestly, it's like so cliche, like it's how every trader does it. But like I would take a small loss, try and win it back, and then it's like bigger loss, and then I blow my account. Like that's usually what would happen. And another reason that like I got the idea to start channels, because I was like, I know I'm so consistent. Like I will get winning trades for like Monday through Thursday, and then I'll give it all back on Friday. And that's also why I was like, I know that like I can be a great trader, because it's like you have to fix that one small thing and everything will click, but you have to fight that every single day. And it helped with just listening to ICT, because yeah, I think like he gets such a cult following because he's like, how often in the space do you have somebody so level-headed, like kind of like speaking to you in that mentorship role, like hearing him say, why are you going to let one losing day define you as a trader? I was like, shit, yeah, you're right. And then, I think we all know that like you can't win everything, so we all expect to have losses. But even though you're like, you can still say like, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to win every single day. But then when you take that losing day, it's like, how do you feel? You feel like you have to win it back. And I feel like just hearing him berate us over and over again about like how one losing day, like why would you let one day define you as a trader? Like hearing it from that perspective, it's like, oh shit, like yeah. And if you're gonna let like, because it's so skewed, because it's like you'll have one bad day define you as a trader, but if you have one good day, you're not like, I mean sometimes I am like, oh shit, like I killed this thing, but it's like you're not like I'm the best trader in the world, but you have one day and you're like, one bad day and you're like, I don't even know if I can do this. Yeah. Yeah, the impatience was probably my last step before profitability as well. Just because I would I would just be entering low quality setups. And then what sucks is if you like take two losing trades, say like you take a losing trade and then it's like, oh, here's the real setup. It's like
you're so mentally beaten down by even taking just 2 losing trades, that when that good setup finally appears, say 10 minutes after, you're just so like mentally like scarred for those like 10 minutes after that. Yeah, what I'm hoping to do with the account, this YouTube account as well, is kind of like in the titles of the videos keep like my live like track record. So like right now I'm 3 for 3. On the account history, like you don't see that Tuesday trade, but the video is up on the channel. So I kind of want to start putting in maybe the video titles like three, like, so like I'm 3 for 3. So next one I'll be watch me go 4 for 4 on like finding silver bullet trade, or like entering, not finding, entering silver bullet trades. And then, you know, I thought about doing that. It's like, okay, then I have to prepare for what happens, you know, because losing streaks happen. So if I lose 2 days in a row, like, I have to make sure it's not an ego hit when I go, like, watch me go, like, 5 for 8 on silver bullet trades. I don't know. Still trying to figure it out. Okay. Dollar's definitely going higher. Oh shit. That's pretty impressive. That's like, I don't know. I feel like that's something to brag about. What made you stop? It does seem like it could be like really taxing. Like mentally taxing. You like feel the need that you have to hop on. Yeah, I'm curious as to why you stopped doing that. If, you know, 14,000 followers is, it's a lot of followers. Yeah, you kind of, the amount of time you have to give to it, to like, it makes sense they had to quit everything. I mean, I'm living with my girlfriend right now. This is like, it's a new situation for me. I've never lived with a girlfriend, but I've like noticed prior to her moving in, it was like every night I was in front of my computer, like studying, basically. And now it's like I have to budget my time a lot more. Like I can't do that. I mean, I'm definitely gonna prioritize trading, but at the same time, I need to make sure that I'm also giving her time now that we're in the same living area. But it's just emphasized where I was like, because like part of me wants to. I've been thinking about becoming a personal trainer, just because I work out every day and I love it, and I was like, I would do that honestly. I would do that for free. So I was like, I would just love to do that, because I've been thinking about becoming like a physical therapist, because I'm really just passionate about like fitness and like rehab and the human body. But I was like, oh, like, do I want to like apply to get that personal trainer certificate? And I was like, oh, but like I don't want it to take away. I don't want to divide up my time like studying the charts yet, because I'm definitely not at the point where I can just like kind of ease off the pedal on that just yet. I feel like, but yeah. So I get the having to drop everything because I was like, I don't want to like kind of divide my time through take away from my studying time just yet. Another thing I have to do with the channel, just to spruce it up a little bit, is like figure out the visuals a little better. Like I need to figure out, I need to find better thumbnails probably. I don't know. Part of me is torn between like trying to make the account like visually aesthetic, but then just being like, no, like I'm just gonna let all the trades speak for themselves. Like, because if you do like if I do execute on how consistent I know I can be, like that's all that will be needed. I remember I was watching because ICT always like kind of mentions and then like tweets at that Patrick Weiland guy. I've never watched his stuff, but like I went to his channel the other day because I was like, okay, like now that I'm on this YouTube game, let me see what some of the people in the day trading live streaming space are doing. So I'm looking at this guy. Guy's like what, like 34 years old, like yelling at the screen and like sunglasses, and I was like, damn, that's not me. I could not do that. I feel like that probably helps him like with people's short attention spans, but I'm gonna just try and let my trades speak for themselves. Sweet, yeah, okay, so there's not much for me. I'm in this charts, so I appreciate your time, JP, and you're staying with me. I might be on for the PM session, I might not, but I'll definitely be on Monday morning. So enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good weekend.